Hey guys, it's Sarah. Thank you so much for watching. So today I wanted to film a video kind of just talking about my stance on cruelty-free. I feel like there's a lot of conflicting information out there. There are a lot of different resources that people turn to when they are determining whether or not a brand is cruelty-free. Since I have a channel and I'm talking about cruelty-free products, and many of my viewers come to me for specifically cruelty-free product recommendations. Now, I also realize many of my viewers aren't cruelty-free, and that's totally fine too. I never want my channel to be like an exclusive club for people who are cruelty-free. Like that is, I would never want that. I want everyone to feel welcome here, whether they're cruelty-free or not, or somewhere in between. I respect any decision a person makes regarding that. I actually feel like there are very valid reasons for a person to choose not to be cruelty-free. But since many of my viewers do come to me for cruelty-free product recommendations and information about that kind of thing, I want to kind of outline how do I define cruelty-free? Because what is cruelty-free enough to one person might not be cruelty-free to me, and what is cruelty-free to me might not be cruelty-free to another person. There is no legal definition of the term cruelty-free or not tested on animals. There are different certifications out there. There are so many different websites and bloggers who have cruelty-free lists, and I want to kind of define what I mean when I say a product is cruelty-free and what I don't mean. So I'm gonna kind of let you know how it is I determine a brand's cruelty-free status for myself, for my own peace of mind, which resources I go to and which ones I don't. I also want to talk about a few other nuances, like my thoughts on cruelty-free brands with parent companies that are not cruelty-free, my thoughts on like vegan makeup specifically, and products that are cruelty-free but maybe not necessarily vegan, and then also just some other thoughts I've been having lately about ethical brands and issues in the cosmetic industry that I want to consider more, that are outside the bubble of just cruelty-free, and kind of I've been having some conflicting thoughts lately that I want to address. I kind of just want this to be a conversation, and yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get into it. One reason I wanted to make this video now is because I've kind of changed my standards a little bit for what constitutes a cruelty-free brand. So I used to be diehard Logical Harmony was the only cruelty-free resource I trusted and used at all, and if a brand was not approved by Logical Harmony, except for very, very few exceptions, I would not purchase from that brand at all. Logical Harmony continues to be the source that I trust the most, but I've added a little caveat to that. So I do still trust Logical Harmony. It's a resource that I have used for years. It's kind of the resource that really made transitioning to cruelty-free easy for me and for many people. I love that there are hundreds of brands on their brand list. I also love that they have a pending list, they have a gray area brand list, and they have a brands to avoid list. So there's 4 different lists on the website. So it makes it really easy to search through and find the brand that you're looking for. And it continues to be my #1 go-to resource. But another resource that I kind of want to add to my arsenal, and that I've kind of, kept in the back of my mind for a while, is Leaping Bunny. I do trust Leaping Bunny. I feel like I have a lot of faith in Leaping Bunny as a certification because I was doing some reading on their website about how does a brand go through the process of becoming Leaping Bunny certified, and it is very strict. And I feel like I would consider myself pretty strict because there are so many loopholes when it comes to a brand's cruelty-free status. There's so many little things that could make a brand not cruelty-free, and I think we've seen that a lot lately, especially with brands like Wet n Wild. And I know a lot of people do still consider Wet n Wild cruelty-free, and that's fine. And that's kind of why I want to make this video, because I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to this, and a right or wrong way to define cruelty-free for yourself, but I just want to define that for my channel so there's no confusion. If I'm gonna be, referring to brands as cruelty-free or not cruelty-free, I kind of want to let you know how it is that I arrived at that conclusion. So for now, those are the 2 sources that I go to, and there really aren't any others that I care to look at. There are lots of other bloggers out there. There's PETA, which I don't trust. Logical Harmony and Leaping Bunny, I think, are the 2 sources that I am going to be using from here on out to determine a brand's cruelty-free status. So having two sources that I'm looking at, sometimes there might be conflicting information. Sometimes there might be brands that are certified by Leaping Bunny but that are not on any of Logical Harmony's lists. Sometimes there might be a brand that's Leaping Bunny certified but that's on the Logical Harmony gray area brand list. And there's also a lot of overlap between brands that are certified by Leaping Bunny and brands that are certified by Logical Harmony. So in the event that there's a little bit of a conflict, Logical Harmony is still going to be my gold standard. So if a brand is Leaping Bunny certified, but it's a brand to avoid on Logical Harmony, I'm just gonna play it safe and not purchase from that brand. I don't think there are any brands like that right now. If a brand is certified by Leaping Bunny but is on the Logical Harmony gray area brand list, and what gray area means on Logical Harmony is that there's kind of like a transparency issue, and there's not enough evidence for Tashina to consider them cruelty-free, but there's also not enough evidence for her to consider them not cruelty-free, so they're kind of in this gray area. And a lot of those brands, you know, she has a little note next to a lot of them that says, have reached out multiple times and requests for clarification have not been responded to. In that case, that just seems fishy to me. Like, why doesn't the brand want to be more transparent, you know? Or in some cases, it's like she's reached out multiple times but has never received a response. Again, that seems fishy to me. Like, if they want to be cruelty-free, like, they need to be able to be transparent. So a brand like that is Leaping Bunny certified but's gray area on Logical Harmony is BH Cosmetics. A lot of people do consider BH Cosmetics to be cruelty-free. Personally, I don't think I want to buy from them simply because they are still gray area on Logical Harmony, and they have been for a very long time. I'm trying to think of some other examples of that. That's the only example of that kind of a brand I can think of now. And there are also a lot of brands that are Leaping Bunny certified but that are pending on Logical Harmony, and pending to me is like they've started the process of becoming either approved or not approved, but they're still in that process or they're in kind of a waiting area. For me, if a brand is pending on Logical Harmony but it is Leaping Bunny certified, typically I think I would feel okay about that and I would be comfortable purchasing from them. And occasionally there are brands that are super small that aren't on Logical Harmony or on Leaping Bunny, and one example of that up until recently is A to Z Candles. And A to Z Candles is a brand that I have raved about for so long, and it actually just a couple weeks ago, I think, she finished the process of becoming Leaping Bunny certified, and that's so exciting for her. I'm so excited. So I was fully confident that her brand was cruelty-free even before that, and I've been purchasing from that brand for probably the past year now. I'm a huge fan of their candles, and it's a really, really small indie company. You know, she really does a great job verifying that her suppliers aren't testing their products on animals, and furthermore, all of her candles are vegan. Very small indie company. Really, I had no reason to be suspicious of whether or not that company was cruelty-free. But I am really excited to see that they're Leaping Bunny certified. I also know that she's been trying to get on Logical Harmony for years and hasn't even made it onto the pending list. So I think in some cases it can be really difficult for small brands like that to get on Logical Harmony, and that's why I'm okay still purchasing from those kinds of brands, because they're such tiny brands. I love supporting small businesses, especially women-owned businesses, vegan women-owned businesses especially. In some ways I like supporting that kind of brand even more than I like supporting brands like NYX that are cruelty-free but that, you know, are much bigger brands. I really enjoy supporting small indie brands, and so those brands tend to be very transparent anyway. So occasionally there will be a brand that's not certified by either source, but that I am fine with purchasing from, and a lot of times in those cases what I'll do is I'll email the brand a list of very specific questions. I think it's like 8 or 10 questions that I have. I can link like maybe a Google Doc down below, or just I can put those questions down below as an email template that you can feel free to send to brands if you want to use it, and feel free to also adapt it according to your standards. Oh, another thing is, I know brands do have to pay to have the logo put on their packaging, but they don't have to pay Leaping Bunny to go through the certification. It's just to have the logo printed on their packaging. And that logo, I'll put what it looks like on the screen. If that logo is on a product, it means it's certified by Leaping Bunny. Now, if you see any other bunny on a product, it doesn't necessarily mean that they've gone through some kind of rigorous certification process. Brands can just find any old picture of a bunny and put it on their packaging. and they might not be cruelty-free at all. If I see a leaping bunny on packaging, I still want to check the website to make sure that's still up to date, and I want to check their standing on logical harmony, but to me that is a good sign. It's a good start, but I do still want to look into it a little bit further. Because like I said, a brand like BH Cosmetics, for example, is gray area on logical harmony, so that kind of like conflicting information makes me a little bit uncomfortable. Best case scenario is they're leaping bunny or they're logical harmony certified, but if they're either not on any logical harmony list and they are leaping bunny certified, or they're pending on logical harmony and they're leaping bunny certified, I'm also comfortable with that brand. And then if they're not on either one, I would send the brand a list of questions myself and see what they say. A lot of times they're not really very transparent when they answer those questions, and to me that's fishy, and I'd rather just stick to brands that are certified by like a real certification, because you know, sometimes you can find out good information from emailing brands, but sometimes it's hard to pry the information out of them when you're just a person like me. I think people like Tashina at Logical Harmony have really, you know, a lot of brand connections, and they're able to kind of dive in a little bit deeper than I as just a consumer can. So one example of a brand that is, I don't think it's on any Logical Harmony lists, but it is Leaping Bunny certified, is the brand Billy Beauty. And this is a very new, very much an indie brand. They only sell one product, I think, at this point, and it's this palette, which I love, by the way. And I'm so glad that I kind of adapted my rules to include this brand as one that I feel comfortable purchasing from, because first of all, like I said, I love supporting smaller brands, and they're Leaping Bunny certified, which that means they went through a pretty rigorous process to get there. So I hope that kind of clears that up a little bit. That's how I define whether or not a brand is cruelty-free on my channel. Okay, let me talk about the parent company thing first. I don't feel like I get questions about this very often. Brands that are cruelty-free, Logical Harmony approved, or Leaping Bunny certified, or both, or whatever the case may be, a brand is cruelty-free by the definitions I just outlined, but they're owned by a company that is not cruelty-free. So examples of this would be NYX, CoverGirl, what are some other ones? Urban Decay, Burt's Bees. I don't really have any products from them, but Too Faced is owned, I think, also by L'Oreal. Those are some examples. Those are some brands that I have products from that are owned by parent companies that test. I'm perfectly fine with buying from brands that are cruelty-free, that have parent companies that test, because, well, I have a few reasons. One reason would be those brands are a lot more accessible to people, and it's really important to me to show that it can be really easy to be cruelty-free. And these are brands like, you know, NYX and CoverGirl. Those are brands you can go into any old drugstore or grocery store and find, right? Well, maybe not NYX, but CoverGirl especially. And CoverGirl did recently become cruelty-free, by the way. Back in November, they became Leaping Bunny certified and Logical Harmony approved, and that was one of the most exciting moments in cruelty-free brand history, in my opinion. But they are owned by Coty, which is a brand that's not cruelty-free. But to me, the fact that a brand like CoverGirl would go the extra mile, despite being owned by a non-CF brand, to ensure that there's no animal testing going on at any point in the production process, their products are not being sold in China, that to me is a pretty big deal. And I appreciate that brands go that extra step. And I want to support their decision to be cruelty-free, even though by being owned by a larger brand that may not be cruelty-free, they're getting even more exposure that way. They're becoming even more accessible because they're owned by that giant brand. And I'm like, I hate that that's the way that things work. I wish tiny indie brands were the ones that were, you know, in every CVS in the country, but it's not. I feel like that, you know, there's a whole spectrum. There's tiny indie brands that I love supporting, and there's huge brands like CoverGirl that I also am fine with supporting because, yeah, I just do. So that's how I feel about it. But again, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. If you would prefer to stick to like only small indie brands, that's awesome. That's my thoughts on parent company, the parent company issue. That's why you will see me talking about those brands and recommending them, and that's my thoughts on them. And I don't really get questions about this much either, but in case I ever do, at the moment at least, I don't exclusively purchase vegan products. So, you know, some of my products will have carmine in them. Some of my products have beeswax in them. What are some other, I mean, those are the most, I think the most common animal ingredients that are found in products would be beeswax and carmine, but there are of course others. And I do try to be mindful of the ingredients, and if I see an animal ingredient that grosses me out, like egg or milk in like a skincare product, I'm not buying that. And I don't really talk about this much on my channel, but I do eat a completely vegan diet, and I don't want to support like the dairy industry or the egg industry. I just don't feel as strongly about like insect ingredients. I just don't. So that's why, you know, I don't exclusively use vegan products, but you know, it's like bonus points if the product is vegan, and many of my products are vegan at the moment at least, and this could change in the future. If it does, I'll certainly let you know. But for now, I'm okay with products containing insect ingredients and things like that. So that's my thoughts on that. I kind of wanted to wrap this up with some kind of thoughts that I have. I feel like cruelty-free, the issue of animal testing is an important one to me. But I also feel like it gets an arbitrarily large amount of focus compared to other issues that I think are equally important and that don't get talked about. And I don't know if that's because bunnies are just cute and it's easy to really feel good and feel warm and fuzzy inside when you know you're not hurting any animals by purchasing a product. And it's always going to be an issue that's really near and dear to my heart, and I really don't think I'm ever going to not be cruelty-free. But I also think that the term cruelty-free is it's just one issue, right? There are always a lot of issues, and I don't mean this to say that if you're cruelty-free, you're still not doing enough, because that's not the case at all. I think that any step towards making mindful purchases, whatever that means for you and however that feels important to you, is a really great thing. Any kind of smart consumerism, whether it's just to be a little bit more minimal with your purchasing, whether it's to purchase from brands that use less packaging, whether it is cruelty-free for you, whether it's brands that are committed to human rights. And that kind of brings me to something that I want to start researching more and learning more about, and I'd really appreciate if you have any resources about this that you find helpful that you want to share with me. Please do. Is the human rights thing. I feel like I've heard about issues like slave labor being used to source ingredients like mica that we find in all kinds of cruelty-free products. How are the people who are making our products being treated? Isn't that just as important as how the animals are being treated, if not more important? Like, I want to not be so close-minded that I take cruelty-free as like the end-all be-all of being an ethical consumer. I want to think outside that. You know, there's still so much research for me to do on those things, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I'm gonna stop buying from certain brands right this minute, because I still feel like I have a lot of research to do on that, but things like that. And I also just want to prioritize brands that aren't just cruelty-free, but maybe that are committed to like making recyclable packaging or just like minimal packaging in general. Like, so many products are just like, they've got such bulky plastic packaging. And yeah, Elf is cruelty-free and they're all vegan, and that's amazing, but a lot of their products are really bulky and use excessive packaging. Like this HD powder, it's made with such a thick plastic, and like the product inside is just this little tiny amount. So there's that. I mean, I also have no idea how the people who make these things in, you know, whatever factories these are being made in, I don't know how those people are treated, and I want to know more about that. I'm not saying I don't know, like, I'm not committing to anything right now, but it's something that I feel like it's really important to think about, because just because something is cruelty-free doesn't mean it's 100% cruelty-free. It's animal cruelty-free, but I just think there's more to it, and that, like, yes, I think animal testing is a really important issue and it always will be to me, but I also think it gets a lot of attention, and I'm glad that it does. Especially lately, it's been getting more and more attention, but why do other things not get attention? I think it's just because there's not a lot of awareness around them, and it's easy to talk about cute little animals, but it's not as easy to talk about slave labor. But please, if you have any resources about anything like that, please feel free to pass along any information that you have on that. It's something that I want to start thinking about more, and I just never want that's why I try not to be preachy about cruelty-free, because I feel like there's so many other issues that are probably more important that just don't get nearly as much attention. And like I said, like, I feel like there are tons of valid reasons why a person wouldn't want to be cruelty-free. I understand it takes time to research brands. What if you can't find a good shade range for your skin tone from brands that are cruelty-free? What if another issue matters to you more than that? Like, I feel like it's just, I have no, like, I really never want it to seem like I think cruelty-free is like the only important thing. And at the end of the day, outside of this makeup world, like, there's so many other issues happening in this world that are so much bigger. It's so much more important in my opinion. So this is just one little piece of the puzzle, and it's important to me. It's an important little piece of the puzzle, but it's not the only piece of the puzzle. So anyway, what is this video? I hope that kind of cleared up my definition of cruelty-free and what you can expect that to mean when you come to my channel. If you have any questions for me, by all means leave them down below. If there's something I didn't clarify or I didn't explain well, please let's have a conversation in the comments. I would love that. I would love to hear if you are cruelty-free or you have other ethical issues that you like to investigate when it comes to cosmetics. Also, I would love to hear about that. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd love to have you subscribe to my channel. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!